We're here at House Rock Campground, Willamette National Forest here in Central Oregon. Let's go check out the campsites. Okay, so here is campsite 1, just for campground bearings. You got your main road. Here is Sheep Creek. And there's our road up to the upper loop, 8 through 17. Here's our loop 2 through 7 and our campground signage. So here is site 1. Park here, picnic table, fire pit, put your tent to the right of that fire pit. So it's right up against Sheep Creek, so that's gorgeous. I will say if you have kiddos, it's a pretty steep drop off. I probably wouldn't do one just for safety. You need responsible adults, and if you're drinking alcohol, I'd be very careful on this one because this is a potential accident waiting to happen, keeping it real. It's very beautiful, but you got a steep drop off. And if you're not paying attention, if you get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and you go the wrong way, you're going to be in the water before you know it. So be very careful at 1. It's beautiful. That said, if you manage it responsibly, it's absolutely epic. You got Sheep Creek right here. Here's our steep precipice right up against our water. So you're just basically looking right down. So you can see an accident would be very easy to happen. And that's gorgeous. Look at that. Here's our bridge, and here is the rest of the campground. So I like 1. I actually prefer the shoreline of 2 through 7, so 1 is not my pick, but I think it's pretty special and gorgeous. I mean, look at this. So this is site 1, and site 2 is on the other side of this forest road. So we'll go across, you got your signage, and you got your bridge. This area's claim to fame is not only is at the confluence of South Santiam River and Sheep Creek, but it also has the famous House Rock, namesake for this campground, and it has House Rock Falls, which is an absolutely gorgeous waterfall. So you have a lot of features of this area. Makes it a very popular zone. Here is site 2. Park here. Got your picnic table, fire pit. I love how this is right up against the water. In fact, this is a little bit more shoreline. 1 was an overlook, kind of a steep precipice, and this is more of a walk right into the water situation. So this is definitely safer than 1. In some ways, I actually kind of like 2 better than 1 for that reason. This is really beautiful. Look at this. I mean, this is gorgeous. This is a river runs through it, magic. And look at that. That is gorgeous. Oh man, I am really digging this site right here. This water is really beautiful. And here you got your shoreline. You walk right into the water. Oh, this is gorgeous. Come back over to 2. So 2 is very high quality. I mean, this is as premium shoreline access as it gets. Also, I love the trees, this mossy vibe. This is gorgeous. I also love that massive log kind of creating a natural demarcation line boundary of your site. Helps with privacy as well. So here's the perspective from your fire pit. I mean, look at that. You can sit in your fire pit and just stare at this gorgeous raging, roaring water right next to your campsite. I already accessed the other shoreline, but let's go over here. It's actually better than the last one I was standing at. I mean, look at this. It just so happens there's like a log integrated into the raging flow here. That is gorgeous. I am digging that. That is spectacular. Okay, so I'm very sold by site 2. It's like there's a little side trail on the shoreline that probably goes to our next site. But you have this really good privacy demarcation line. Let me also just pan up so you can see the sun, these towering, massive old growth trees here in Willamette National Forest. This is really epic. It's my first time ever at House Rock Campground, the actual campground itself. I've done the Santiam wagon trail to the falls, and I am already instantly falling in love. This is a premium campground. I would say 1 was very epic with its overlook, but I like 2 better. I feel safer, and I like all the shoreline play. 1 didn't really have a shoreline, it was just an overlook. So let's continue along. Got our restrooms here, which are right next to 2, and we're gonna have our next campsite, numero trace, coming up here on the right. Here it is, just for bearings. You can see you got 4, 5, 6. This is a bit of a loop. This is actually the end of the line for this lower loop. So here is 3. You park right here. I gotta say, it's very beautiful. I love this big tree. This is kind of the other side of 2. So you park right here. Again, that log straight ahead, it's horizontal, that's the edge of 2. And here's your access to 3. This really has a very, I've said this before, a Dr. Seuss, Tim Burton vibe. Very beautiful area. Look at this, just these mangled trees. They're twisted with moss on them. Really has a cool effect. And you got a straight shot down the river. So here's your picnic table and your fire pit. Got some good shade here. So we'll come down here underneath these trees. I mean, these trees are legend. Look at this. This is gorgeous. This is really gorgeous. Let me see if I can capture all this. I mean, the moss, kind of the interesting character of this tree really sets the mood for House Rock Campground. Down this little shoreline path takes you over to 2, but it's around the corner of that big tree, so good privacy lines on the parts of the crafters of this campground. Here's our raging, roaring water, and this is our shoreline access side. So, pretty cool shot. So you'll see straight ahead, you see that bridge. That's the bridge that takes you over to the House Rock Falls zone. And straight ahead, this is actually the confluence of Sheep Creek and South Santiam River. This right here is Sheep Creek, and that over there is Santiam River. So I would say, as far as privacy lines, you do have a picnic table right there here at campsite 3. But you have a very interesting eclectic mix of trees here I'm walking underneath. Gives you great shade in the dead of summer. This is pretty magical. Let me pan up and show you the sun. See how cool this area is? I mean, this is like a dream environment with all these awesome, mangled, twisted, mossy trees kind of giving you some very interesting character. This would be a very fun area, I particularly think, to bring children, because I think they would absolutely fall in love with the magic, kind of the fairy tale environment here. This has got a really interesting vibe. It's not your classic forest campground by any stretch. It has a magical feel. Feels like you're in a fairy tale story, which I think the kiddos would appreciate. Come back over here. Take a look at these trees. I mean, this has got to be one of the more eclectic campgrounds I've ever seen, frankly. Like, these trees, it feels like this is some sort of Fairy Tale Wonderland campground, House Rock Campground. You have the confluence of South Santiam River and Sheep Creek. You have the House Rock, you have House Rock Falls. This is a really exciting area, I gotta say. And the color of South Santiam River and Sheep Creek is pretty magical. Let's continue. So here is site 4. You can see 5 and 6 are over there. Here's your parking for 4. Here's 3. So 3's picnic tables. You're on your right. I'm just giving you your bearings. Here's 4. You park here. This area is a little crammed, and you got 3 right there, even though these got these fairy tale mossy trees. So you park here, and your picnic table and fire pit are straight ahead. Ooh, I gotta stop here and just pan up. Look at this massive tree. This is gorgeous. I mean, this area is ridiculous. I don't know if I can explain in words how beautiful this area is. Like, I am falling in love with this area. It's got a fairy tale magical feel to it. See that bridge across the way? That's also adding to it. It's a footbridge. So here's your picnic table, fire pit. Got pretty good privacy breakage to 5 and 6 over there, so that's a win. You are right on the shoreline. Let me see if I can pan up and capture this little grove of fairy tale mossy trees, really adding a lot of character to the area. And you got Sheep Creek here raging by. This is your shoreline. Remember, 3 is right there, some mangled cool trees. Here's your shoreline, and then you can see it goes all the way down. You can see the bridge over there. Again, that's a footbridge. It takes you over to House Rock, namesake of this campground, as well as House Rock Falls. House Rock Falls is absolutely gorgeous. So this is pretty darn beautiful, my friend. So that is the view from site 4. Again, you got this fairy tale mossy mangled tree section straight ahead of 3. Here's 4, a bit more exposed, a bit more sunshine in the hot summer months. And I'll come over here and just pan up again so you can see the grandiosity of these trees above you. Pretty awesome. Got a little side trail on the other side of this log. You do have 5 and 6 over there, but you have a good line of sight breakage. So that's pretty exciting. Let's continue along. So again, there's 3, here's 4, and let's move on to Cinco, numeral 5. You got your bathroom straight ahead, essentially located for this lower loop. And this is definitely the lower loop of the campground. It is divided into a couple loops. There's 17 sites overall, and this is the lower cluster. Here is 5 and 6. I always call these wishbone situations. Let's go take a look. 6 right there, picnic table, fire pit. 5 right here, picnic table, fire pit. The good news is they're right up against the shoreline as we'll go explore. The bad news is they're right on top of each other. Like, look at these privacy lines, they're not great. I will say, look at this tree zone. I'll pan up here, perspective from 5, looking kind of over at 6, kind of doing them together because they're right on top of each other. Trees are beautiful. Again, that mossy fairy tale vibe, which I am digging. This is the back of 5. You can bring your tent down here. Probably would shade it back here. I mean, look at this shoreline access. This is ridiculous. Look at this. Look at this. This is South Santiam River. We're now on the river side. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are more against Sheep Creek. 5 and 6 are up against South Santiam River proper. And let me pan up and show you the sun, and then how it's glowing on these mossy trees, these ethereal fairy tale mossy trees, and then the green of South Santiam River. Like, this is world-class epic. House Rock Campground is absolutely a destination. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. Pan upstream to South Santiam River. And I mean, look at the view of the river, the glistening river through those glowing green mossy trees. I mean, this is spectacular. This is a dream. This is a vision. This is the edge of site 5. Again, I would probably put my tent over here, and then you've actually got multiple access points. I'll turn back around. That's one of your access points. And then you got an access point down here. So this one's a little steep, but you can absolutely go down there. See, that's an access point to the river. I will pan up. I mean, across the other side of the shore is like just epicness, epicosity. This is legend. Here's looking back at our picnic table. Let me keep going this way though. I'm just exploring the edge of 5. It's a little trail system, and I think this is going to take us to our own shoreline. So maybe I was a little hard on 5. It's really next to close to 6 on the picnic table, but if you want to fully utilize your trail system, I mean, look at this. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. This is a private shoreline from Site 5 up against South Santiam River. Like, look at this. I don't even know where to look. There's too many cool things. You got a waterfall straight ahead there. You see above the waterfall, that is actually the House Rock. I'm looking at the House Rock right now, namesake for the trail. You can see there's a trail right there above it, but the namesake for the campground. So this is ridiculous. And then you see up there, you've got the fence, and this is a rocky shoreline. This right here is the confluence of South Santiam River and Sheep Creek. Sheep Creek here is on the right. It's entering the main flow of South Santiam River. You got this bridge here. You got these cool mossy trees. So Sheep Creek is up against sites 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then this is South Santiam River. 5 and 6 are right up against South Santiam River. Let me pan back here. I mean, this is ridiculous. Me pan back around here and look at this. I mean, this is crazy. Look at that. Is that not legend? Look at this entire shoreline, this rocky shoreline, and there's your access back to the backyard of Site 5. So for this reason, even though it doesn't have the best privacy lines as far as picnic table versus 6, this area I think more than makes up for it. Having this domain, you can bring your chairs down here and sit. I mean, you are in the center of the campground, so you'll be a little bit on display, but I think it's worth it to have this shoreline exposure. My gosh, my friend, this is beautiful. this incredible wonderland that is almost too good to be real. You got to see to believe. And we will hike back from the backyard shoreline access point of Site 5 back to Site 5. And then down here we've got a beautiful section of South Santiam River. Look at that. You can see right to the bottom. And you've got another high quality access point right there. And don't sleep on this side. This is the straight up South Santiam River side. And I mean, this is legend in itself. I don't know what's more beautiful, this glowing green ethereal fairy tale rainforest trees, or just the straight river. Let's come down here. And get a beautiful shot of our close trusty friend at South Santiam River. Look at that. That is gorgeous, my friend. Absolutely beautiful. Pan down a little bit, get a little bit more of the river. Oh, this is gorgeous. So there is the picnic table for 6. This is really more the domain of 6, although it's right next to 5. And look at that. I mean, this is crazy. Look at that gorgeous view of South Santiam River. This is beautiful. Six is more directly on the South Santiam River shoreline. Pretty amazing ethereal mossy green fairy tale tree. I mean, this is a beautiful fairy tale wonderland zone. Ridiculous. Dr. Seuss, Tim Burton vibes. And got a great access point right here to a log that gets you a scope shot down South Santiam River looking upstream. And here's our shoreline access. Look at the green of that South Santiam River. I mean, you can see at the bottom, and this area looks like you could get in there and cool yourself off on a summer day. Of course, do so at your own risk and practice situational awareness. Always respect the river, but that said, this looks like a pretty safe section of the river, in my humble opinion, but again, do so at your own risk. And yeah, right here, this is just like a calm pool of water right there. I mean, look at that. I'm not personally, at least at this moment, not detecting any strong currents that look super dangerous. Of course, it's different for kiddos and adults, but I would personally feel comfortable getting in right there. This seems like a pretty safe zone to access the river, as again, as I said, particularly on a hot summer day, July, August, 80, 90 degrees, this could be quite a salvation to get in right there. I would be comfortable getting in there, walking over here. First of all, let's look at this tree. There's your picnic table. There's your tree glowing in the sun. Right here, to the right of this mossy rock, feels like a place you could probably get in, and even get down to your neck or dip your head in and just kind of cool off. It feels safe. So, man, this is my first time ever at House Rock Campground, and I am blown away. Like this, for some reason, this area just is giving me fairy tale vibes. I think it's the twisted, mangled, mossy trees, rainforest style. And then every once in a while you have like this massive old growth tree. Like, look at that, look up. Oh man, like that is crazy. You got these massive trees, these twisted, mangled, mossy trees. Then you got incredible Sheep Creek and South Santiam River and shades of green and sun making everything sparkle and light up. Like, this is a beautiful area. Here is site 7. Got a picnic table, fire pit, very cool log on the back of it. You're right up against the banks of South Santiam River. Some very cool trees. Let's see our access. This one also is giving me swimming vibes, but not as good as 6. The water seems a little bit more aggressive, but you could go into the water right there, I would say. That's beautiful. Little chipmunk here. Hey, buddy. Picnic table, fire pit. Really love that log. I mean, that's crazy. We stop here. You get a sense of the river. Here's where the sun is, so you know which direction it's going to be coming from in the morning. And then you have a very ethereal forest above you. It's got kind of a cool effect. Gorgeous. Ooh, this one even has steps down into the river, it looks like. Yeah? Look at that. You literally have steps down into the river. And I'd say this side of the river, before it gets a little more agitated on the other side, is definitely the side you'd want to hang out on. Of course, practice situational awareness, but I would be comfortable doing that personally as an adult. So here's your steps, and here's the edge of your campsite. I will say, because of all these trees, you do have a pretty good line of sight blockage from 5 and 6. You also have the water pump right there, I just noticed. So you got the water pump next to 7, and then here's your turnabout. Water pump, good line of sight breakage with 5 and 6. Your own shoreline of South Santiam River. Fishing hole with stairs. And then you do get to look up and enjoy South Santiam River moseying on by. I do like this big log, given character. Got kind of an ethereal, mystical forest above you. Again, the fairy tale vibes. For some reason, the word fairy tale just keeps coming to my mind when I'm looking around this place. It's the vibes it's giving me. Here's your picnic table, your fire pit. I'd put my tent right here. Yeah, right there. So here's where my tent would be. And then looking back, this is your site. You're on the edge of this lower loop, so you got pretty good privacy lines. 5 and 6 are straight ahead, but you really have such good blockage with all these trees that it's really not an issue. So, and again, there's the water pump. So 7 does have good privacy lines. This is kind of carved here. I will point out there is a trail across the way. The House Falls Trail goes up there. So you will probably see some hikers going across there. So that's probably your only issue as far as your privacy lot lines. So that is site 7, picnic table, fire pit. Very cool log in the back of your campsite, kind of creating a demarcation line. You've got steps right down into South Santiam River, purely a section that's likely safe for you to swim and cool off on a hot summer's day. Shoreline of South Santiam River. Got the water pump straight ahead, forest green colored thing. This is your turnabout at the edge of the lower loop. So I gotta say, I think 7's pretty legit. So that was 7. That's the end of this lower loop. Okay, so we just did the lower loop, 1 through 7. Now we're coming up the Forest Campground Road, and we got 8 through 17. So 9 and 10 you can see on this side. Here's 8. Here's our driveway. Very fairy tale mossy rainforest trees, digging that. But as far as the actual lot lines of 8, this is not as good. I would take anything 1 through 7 over this. See, it's right over the Forest Campground Road, not up against either Sheep Creek or South Santiam River. So, I mean, this is interesting. It's eclectic, very treehousey. So, I mean, probably not a bad campsite here because House Rock Campground's awesome. But I would definitely put my tent right here. So, after having just gone down there and seen 1 through 7 and being right up against the water, even though this is like very cool, like I'm definitely getting fairy tale like treehouse vibes here. This is beautiful. I still wouldn't pick this one because why would you want to be basically right up against the campground forest road when you could be up against the water? So 8 eclectic, but first one here I would actually just pan. I wouldn't do this. How do you beat the shoreline? But I want to give every campsite a fair shake. So I was 8. Here's 9 and 10 right next to each other. Again, I call these wishbone campsites. Here's 9, again, here's 10. There's the Forest Campground Road for bearings. So you park here, coming down here. Let me stop and just look up because that's the big part of this one is the grandiosity. I mean, look at this, I can't even go all the way up. So you are amongst giants. You are in a towering Willamette National Forest Wonderland zone. So the scope, the grandiosity I want to capture by explaining that. Here's your picnic table and fire pit. Come around here where they want you to walk around, a little bit of a lip right here. So again, you're in a really grand section of the forest, but you're not right up against the feature. Got great shade in summer. You are overlooking South Santiam River down there. You don't really have a money shot, keeping it real. I mean, you got a pretty section right there. You definitely are overlooking the river and you can hear the ambiance. It does look like there's a very steep little side trail here that maybe gets you a little bit better view, get you about halfway down. I'm not gonna try to take that, but I get it. So if you like the bird's eye view, you don't really wanna be on the shoreline, but you just kinda wanna sense the ambiance, the soothing sound of South Santiam River, then 9's good. This is pretty epic. I will say from 9, look up, that's actually 8 on the other side of the forest road right across from me. So somehow, even though these are gorgeous, they kind of missed the lot lines there. 8 and 9 are a little close to each other. So let me stop here and just pan up again, show you the grandiosity of this, because that's a big part of what's cool about this. Look at that. I mean, this is ridiculous. It really has that fairy tale vibe. I don't mean to be so repetitive, but that's just what I keep thinking about. Like these green, glowing, mossy, mangled fairy tale rainforest trees, and then the occasional like towering tree you can't even see the top of. It's just got such a fairy tale vibe. So with 9 right there, here's 10. Park right here. This one's got a very strong Swiss family Robinson treehouse vibe. Come around these fairy tale mossy trees. There's a railing here for safety so you don't go straight. You can see your picnic table and fire pit are down there. Potentially go down these spiraling stone steps. I think a kid would love this. And then look at that. You are at your picnic table fire pit up against a railing and you are overlooking South Santiam River. Let's go down this. So here we are at site 10, definitely a treehouse Swiss family Robinson vibe. So you can see, got a railing for protection. And then down here is your picnic table and fire pit. You got a railing overlooking South Santiam River. Pan up and show you epic shade. Very cool trees. And you go around the spiraling stone staircase on the right. And then you come down here, you got your fire pit. So this is the approach from site 10. You come down these spiraling stone steps and you come down here to your picnic table and fire pit against the railing overlooking South Santiam River. Let's come down here. See South Santiam River over there. Again, here's your fire pit. Here's your picnic table. I will say there's a little side trail here, but it just takes you to 9. See the reddish picnic table over there? That's 9. You can't see it from your picnic table. You can see it if you stand at this railing. And then again, picnic table, kind of cool little Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse 5. You do have a side trail over to the picnic table over there, presumably 11. So that's right there too, kind of interesting. And then you have South Santiam River. You can come over here and take a look and enjoy the ambiance and the beauty of South Santiam River. Oh man, this is a gorgeous zone. So we're in the upper loop right now. I liked 1 through 7, the lower loop, better because of the shoreline access, but this has really got that treehouse Swiss Family Robinson vibe. Let's move on to the next one. This was site 10. I love these steps. I mean, these are legit. Watch my step because they're a little wet. So that was 10, carved into the side of a gorgeous Wonderland rainforesty fairy tale zone. Any adjectives I can cram in there? Let's keep going. This has got to be one of the most interesting campgrounds I've ever been to. Let me pan up and just show you. Get in the sun, these towering mossy rainforesty trees. Every single one of these campsites really was carved with love. They've all got something very interesting and eclectic about them. It makes this place feel exciting and interesting. Here's site 11. It's got its own little railinged access. Appreciate the railings because this could be slick. And we come up here, we got our picnic table, our fire pit, some very interesting logs. So these are the stairs you come up to 11. Here's your picnic table, fire pit. And then here's really the only place you can put your tent. I'm not a fan of 11, kind of like 8. I mean, it's interestingly carved in here, but it's right above the campground forest road. You're not up against South Santiam River or even Sheep Creek. So, I mean, they gave it some love and it's interesting. Every one of these has like a fairy tale epic vibe. But that said, 8 and 11 so far are really the two that I would skip. But even these two feel special, even though they're not that great in comparison to the rest of them. So let's continue along. So we're going to the final section. This should be 12 through 17. Here's 12. I believe 12 is the one that's part of that network of side trails with 10 and 9. But we'll go take a look. So here is 12, park here, and you do have actually a beautiful money shot of South Santiam River. Look at this. Look at this, my friend. Right there, you're just overlooking the snaking, literally makes an S, South Santiam River. That's pretty gorgeous. So here's our campground road. Here's our sign for 12. Here's where you park. Here's our overlook views of South Santiam River, absolutely gorgeous. Let's come down and take a look at the site itself. So this is the one that was kind of connecting with 9 and 10 through a side network trail system. Actually surprisingly exposed, a lot of sun here right on the picnic table and fire pit considering how much high towering tree cover there is. So this has got a little bit more sun. Be aware of that July, August. I do dig this giant tree right here. Kind of gives you some epic privacy lines. Let's come over here and take a look at your view. Oh, you got to be really careful right here because there is a very steep drop off to the right of this massive log, and that can get real dangerous quick. You could fall down there and literally fall into the river. So pretty dangerous obstacle here at 12. In fact, if I had kiddos, I probably wouldn't do 12 for that reason. To me, that would be a safety violation, but let's continue assessing it. There's a side trail to 9 and 10. So 9, 10, and 12 are connected by a side network. You come over here and you do get pretty gorgeous views of South Santiam River. This is a steep drop off with no railing. So I would not get too close. I would stay 8 or 10 feet away. It's not worth tripping and falling in there. So beware. I'm actually a little surprised that they allow such a steep drop off right there from a safety point of view. So 12 is definitely, in my humble opinion, an adults only site. I would not let my kiddos. There's just too many places where something catastrophic can easily happen. So 12 and 1 are the two that I would avoid if you got kids, young kids. Got to exercise situational awareness. It's a pretty site. I mean, look at all these logs. This is pretty cool. It's got that ethereal fairy tale feel that all these have. And you come over here and you really do have a money shot of South Santiam River just like snaking by. So this is epic. Standing right here, you just get a really gorgeous perspective of the river. Continuing along. So that was site 12. More sun than normal, a couple dangerous drop-off points that to me are a deal breaker. You got kiddos. There's a side network over to 9 and 10, which definitely have more shade than 12. You got great overlooks of South Santiam River. Kind of an interesting, eclectic campsite. I dug it overall. I thought it was pretty cool, but I don't think it's one of the best here just because there's such high quality campsites here. Still getting views of South Santiam River. So now we are descending into the final loop. We got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The final 5 are down here. This bay of 5 has its own restroom here on the left, which is nice. And we'll come down here and take a look. You got a water pump there next to 14. So interestingly enough, 13's on the left. So I'll go to the left first here. You got your driveway to the left of the post of 13. And you got your picnic table, fire pit, elevated above it a little bit. Really gorgeous section of the forest. Again, that fairy tale vibe. Like this is, House Rock Campground is basically a fairy tale campground. I really don't know if I've ever been to more of a fairy tale style campground in my life, keeping it real. It just has that vibe. So let me look back. This is our parking. Again, there's the water pump, picnic table, fire pit. Probably put your tent right here. Let me show you how mangled all these trees are. Just kind of feels like you're right in the middle of like Snow White's forest. This is really cool. I'm digging it. Because of the character and eclecticness of all of these sites, this is like a dream kiddo campground. Almost all these sites, except for 1 and 12 so far, I would bring kids to, and they would probably think it was the coolest campground they ever went to. So that's something House Rock Campground has going for it. So this is site 13. It's got that eclectic vibe, which I appreciate. I think kids would love it because you're kind of in a Snow White's forest situation, all these interesting mossy fairy tale trees. I'd probably put my tent straight ahead to the right of the fire pit. Like, I think that's the only place it would go. I probably wouldn't do this one because there's several other that are better. I just give you a better lot line. Like, you're not up against South Santiam River, you're not up against Sheep Creek. So this is an inner. It's got that eclectic thing going on, which is cool, but you know, a kid would love it. A kid would probably be in heaven, but an adult might get a little bored right there. So that was 13. Here's 14. You can see the post. Here's the campground road, just for bearings. 14. I will say you got scope money shot looking downstream at South Santiam River, and here's a bank of South Santiam River. We got a particularly green section of it, so that's cool. You've got your forest road continuing. Here's a water pump at 14. Here's your long, epic driveway. Ooh, look at how beautiful this is. I'm gonna stop here and just kind of give you a pan up of these trees. I mean, look at this, particularly that one in the middle, mossy green magic. Just so much character, kind of sets the tone for this whole area. So you got a nice long driveway and then a really flat area. You got picnic table, fire pit right on the banks of South Santiam River that basically is snaking around your campsite, and then you have a rocky shoreline. So 14 is epic. Like, this is pure epicosity. This is magic. You got almost too many cool areas to look at and explore. If you're at 14, you'll be busy trying to decide which shoreline section should I even hang out at, because they're all awesome. So that's cool. And love that green across the way. Like, this particularly green section, just because of the way the sun hits it. Look at that. That's beautiful. And then here's our private shoreline, South Santiam River. And ooh, straight ahead you got a couple of little nice rips that are pretty darn amazing. Oh my gosh, it just keeps getting better as I come around the corner. Look at this. I'm gonna pan up and show you this tree. Mossy, rainforesty, fairy tale right over South Santiam River. It gives you some shade and some character, framing this blue-green river meandering around Site 14. So this is the shoreline. Oh, this is incredible. Oh, and down there you got more of a whitewater rapids section. And here we have our river. Oh man, this is gorgeous. Okay, so this is Site 14. This is absolutely legend, my friend. You have South Santiam River snaking, winding, weaving around your entire campsite. You got this private shoreline beach zone, crystal clear green Santiam River. You have this like fairy tale mossy rainforest tree giving you some shade and then framing the river. And if you come over to this edge, see down there, the shoreline keeps going and actually has a whitewater rapids section that might be the prettiest section of this whole area. So this entire zone is also your swimming domain, and this is your private beach right here for Site 14, picnic table, fire pit. Also kind of give you a look at the towering trees directly above you. I mean, this is a epic world-class zone. These are the kind of campsites that you're pinch me, I'm dreaming. Like you tell somebody about this and they're like, oh, I'm sure it was cool. And then they come here and they're like, okay, I get it. This is next level, my friend, next level. So that is site 14, truly legend, my friend. Probably put my tent straight ahead there. Seems like the natural spot they want you to put it. There's also a little trail behind it, so maybe it's blocking that, but you do have your friend right here. Just for lot lines, there's another site right next to you, the other side of this log. So 14 is legend, my friend, absolutely legend. So I have to say this, I'm not gonna lie, my friend. Campsite 14 here at House Rock Campground has got to be one of the highest quality campsites in the entire Willamette National Forest. I mean, it's got that ethereal fairy tale rainforest mossy tree vibe. It's right up against snaking South Santiam River and its blue-green magic. It's got a private shoreline. Use this as base camp to go do House Rock Falls, which is literally right up there. If you see the railing on the other side up there a bit, that is literally the trail to the falls overlook. So you are right smack dab in the middle of a old growth rainforest fairy tale wonderland as far as I'm concerned. So here is our look at South Santiam River. Here's our private beach. And there's something about this one tree right here that just like frames this whole area. It just gives it a certain rustic charm, character. So site 14, absolutely epic. So here's our final cluster of sites, 15, 16, 17. Here's 15. Again, it's this cool vibe of these trees. Don't want to use the word fairy tale too much, but I just can't stop thinking that that's what it is. Here is our parking. We are walking up to a whitewater rapids, raging and roaring section of South Santiam River. So you park here, and we are right on the banks of an incredible zone of South Santiam River. Picnic table, fire pit. You got this nice log here, which kind of breaks up 14, which is over there. We'll go check out the lot lines. First, I just kind of want to look over here at the river. So when you're sitting here, you do have 14 over there, but it is obscured. So they crafted this campsite well. And let's come down here. This is your shoreline, your private dominion. I feel like this log right here is kind of your boundary. So I like it when they add logs like that. And look at that. That is gorgeous. This is a particularly ferocious section of South Santiam River. So you got this beautiful river raging and roaring on by, and it meanders all the way back around. Oh, this is gorgeous. I think right here might be my favorite section, and right there, that's pretty gorgeous too. So I am digging the shoreline here for site 15. The river raging and roaring by us, South Santiam River. Absolutely magical. Here's our site 15. Got the log there, kind of creating a demarcation line of your boundary. I like that, especially when you got this nice long river. And I will also show you, we do have our neighbor right over there as far as lot lines. So we got a neighbor there, but it's pretty well blocked. 15 is pretty epic, my friend. I'm digging 15. '15 is absolutely epic. Let me show you your lot lines. You do have 14 over there. You got the snaking South Santiam River, and you do have 16 over there on the other side of that log. So you've got a couple next to you, but you got a pretty well carved out zone. I just talked about how much I love 14. Well, 15 is equally as impressive, my friend. You're on a shoreline, raging and roaring section of South Santiam River. You got all these twisted, mangled, mossy trees, fire pit, picnic table, very clear demarcation line of your boundary with this down log, which I appreciate. And then you just have a vast shoreline right up against this section. The reason why this is a more raging, roaring, ferocious, voracious part of the river is because we are downstream slightly from House Rock Falls. And let me pan up here. You go up a little bit around the corner and you're going to be at the bottom of House Rock Falls. It's actually a trail on the other side of the river that you can access from this campsite that gives you an overlook. So that's a fun little hike you can do while you're staying here. It's not just this amazing campsite, but there's actually a world-class waterfall trail. So 15, my friend, absolute legend. So that was 13, that was 14, this was 15. And that brings us to 16, 17, the last two here at House Rock Campground. We'll do 16 first. Park here, and you can already tell it's epic. I mean, I haven't even walked in and you know it's gonna be legend. Right up against South Santiam River, raging roaring section, picnic table, fire pit. Look at all these cool mossy trees. I mean, this is legend. I like the demarcation line from 15 on the other side of this. They did a good job with the line of sight breakage. And I mean, look at the view from the picnic table. You got a money shot of our close trusty friend, South Santiam River. Upstream a bit is actually the bottom of House Rock Falls, and there's a trail on the other side of the river that gives you an overlook of that. So that's something fun you can do while you're staying here. Oh man, look at this. This is epic. This is epic. First, I'll just pan over here so you get a sense. That's the path over to 15, but you have a good line of sight breakage. And then here is your shoreline access. I will say before I do that, you do have 17 right here. So 16 and 17 do not have the best lot line amongst the two of them. If you get both of them together, that's a great group play. But this is such a premium river zone. I'm splitting hairs. I mean, I'd still be here even with the lot line issue. So here's an access point straight ahead. And here's kind of our money shot of the area. Look at this, looking upstream. You got to be very careful because this is actual like whitewater rapidy section. So I wouldn't go swimming in there personally. Practice situational awareness. This is a real river, so you got to be careful. But you can actually see way off in the distance, that's the bottom of House Rock Falls. So you are right kind of in the raging, roaring bottom section of the settling of the falls. So pretty darn beautiful. So I would say 16 is definitely a premium site right up against South Santiam River, world-class section. I would say drawbacks, keeping it real, is it's really not a swimming section. It's more of a beauty gawk and admire section. There's other sections like around 5, 6 where you actually want to go swimming. I probably wouldn't go swimming in here for obvious safety reasons. So not a swimming section, but a gorgeous river section. And probably the biggest drawback of 16 is it doesn't have the best lot lines with 17. I do think 14 and 15, which are 15's on the other side of here and then 14's over there, are higher quality than 16. So I would go 14, 15 first, 16 third out of those three. But that said, looking at this gorgeousness, how could you not want to stay here? So 16's legend. It's definitely top tier, but it's not the best one here. Let's continue along. So last but not least is site 17. We already got a preview of it if you're just looking at 16, but we'll do it proper. You park here, you are on the end of the line. I'll stop here and just pan. So this is a big turnabout, as you can see. So this is the last site here at House Rock Campground. Got some good shade, picnic table, fire pit. Obviously your piece de resistance right up against South Santiam River. I mentioned at 16, I'll mention it here at 17 to get out of the way. Probably your biggest drawback is you are kind of sharing this little shoreline section with 16. So if you can grab 16, 17 together as a group play, now you're in business. But there is a little bit of a privacy thing. I would rather do 14 or 15 as a single party just because it's better privacy demarcation lines. But look at this river. I mean, this is crazy amazing. Straight ahead, upstream is actually the bottom of the House Rock Falls. So you're kind of right in the falls aftermath. Hence the raging and roaring nature of this section of South Santiam River. So you can actually kind of almost see around the corner there. In fact, let's walk around there. Beautiful little section here on the edge of your campsite. And we'll come over here and we'll look up and I think we will be able to see straight ahead. That is actually the end of the line, the bottom of House Rock Falls. There's a trail on the other side that we can go hang out and check out. You can go do that hike from this campground. In fact, you're staying here, you'd be crazy not to do it. So that's the bottom of the House Rock Falls complex straight ahead. Kind of see it around the corner there, a long distance away. So that's kind of cool. And you see the water coming up here. This gives you your own little shallow section. You could absolutely get in here. This feels safe because you got the blockage of these trees. So a good place, your own good little private, I'm gonna take a dip and cool off on a July, August, summer day. So that's kind of a neat feature of 17 that most other places don't have. Come back around here, just to give you another perspective. So you got a shallow pool right there. It's kind of your private dipping spot. Not very deep, maybe knee deep or thigh deep, but it's a nice little feature. Here's a beautiful section of South Santiam River. So 17 is definitely premium. It's shoreline. It's right up against South Santiam River. It's even got its own little wading section straight ahead around that log. I would say 14, 15 are better, but just because they have their own kind of privacy lines. This one definitely is shared with 16. Here's your roundabout. 16, 17, great group play. This is more of a stand and gawk and enjoy the river. Bottom of House Rock Falls, which is around that corner upstream. If you actually want to swim, then you're probably better off at a site like 6. Probably have the best swimming access, 5 or 6 in that range. 17 is definitely premium. It's in the premium cluster. Not the best of them. I'd say 14 and 15 are the best down here, but 14, 15, 16, and 17 are all premium. So that is site 17, the last one here at House Rock Campground. So I just finished walking all 17 sites here at House Rock Campground. Let me give you my final review, my final thoughts. So I am absolutely blown away by House Rock Campground. First time ever walking the campsites. I am walking away a super fan. I think this is one of the most premium campgrounds in Willamette National Forest and frankly in the state of Oregon. I fell in love with at least half the sites. About half the sites here will probably be the #1 site at most other campgrounds. So House Rock Campground is legit. It should be on the map. Frankly, not to overstate it, but I actually do think it's like national level. I think it's that good. It's pretty darn epic. It's a destination campground, that's for sure. The term that kept coming to mind as I was walking it was like fairy tale. Something about the way they crafted it with these kind of ethereal, twisted, mangled, green, mossy trees. I just kept getting this Wonderland fairy tale vibe. Like I feel like this is a particularly kid-friendly campground because it's just got kind of a magical quality. Like every campsite is meticulously crafted and made to feel like you're somewhere special. So a lot of other campgrounds don't necessarily put in that effort. So you can tell a lot of love went into House Rock Campground. As far as the kid-friendly component, if you have kiddos and are coming here, I would avoid sites 1 and 12. They both had kind of a steep drop-off that could be very dangerous to even fatal. So not to be negative, but I would avoid those two. I think the worst two as far as the lot lines are 8 and 11. Those are probably, and 13. I'll add that one. Those are probably the only three that are probably not good quality. Even those, they tried to make them as cool as they could, but they're just not located at a good spot. I think if you're here, you want to either be on South Santiam River or at least Sheep Creek up against some raging water. So I would say that the other 14 out of 17 sites are all worth doing. The lower loop, particularly 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pretty magic. And then you get up to the upper loop and it's 14, 15, 16, 17. So those 9 sites, probably the premium sites here, 9 out of 17, over half. That's an unusually high quality premium ratio relative to the total number of sites. Normally when you have like 17 sites, you'd be lucky if 1 or 2 are premium, but probably a good little over half of these are like, any one of those 9 would be the #1 site at most other campgrounds. Also, don't forget you have the House Rock Falls Trail, a world-class hike you can do from the campground. There's actually the bridge and the trail right there. Speak of the devil. So House Rock Campground. My first time here and I am leaving a super fan. Absolutely love this campground. I absolutely plan to bring my family back here and stay here. Don't think I can recommend it more. House Rock Campground. Absolutely epic.